Welcome back to Admit It with Alexis White. Now, today's guest, Carolyn White. Don't be shocked, we have the same last name because guess what? She's my mom. This is a really, really exciting episode. My mom and I have actually worked together for the better part of now. We've been working together for 12 years.
At least.
12 years,
At least.
In admissions specifically, and with our company for about 12 years. Let's back up a little bit. Why don't you tell us what you do?
Oh, what do I do? Good question. I started my career in education as a teacher. Shocking.
At our company offsite recently, with all of our whole college expert team, we definitely came to the conclusion that what makes our team really unique is that we're all educators, or we past educators. So,
okay,
continue.
So I started off as a teacher right out of college, teaching English.
Okay.
To middle school kids in Vermont, of all places, which is where I lived at the time, and I was doing my student teaching, and I was teaching at a school, private school, at the base of Stowe Mountain in Stowe, Vermont.
So did anyone actually go to school, or were they just skiing?
They were skiing.
They didn't have AI to write their essays, unfortunately.
They didn't have anyone to write their essays except themselves. And most of them couldn't write very well, which was fine.
Which is why they needed you.
But they were very cute.
Yeah.
And they were good skiers.
Great.
And I had a great time. And I loved teaching, and I loved being in that environment with kids that age. Tweens and teens.
The ages that parents just love. Mm-hmm. The glory of the tween and teen age groups. What was it about, because I think that those early teaching experiences are what really, I mean, they captivated you. You taught for a long time. So what do you like about those ages?
Oh, I love the energy. The energy is fantastic.
So glad you do.
And it gives you energy. I mean, it makes you feel not like you're their age, thank God, but it makes you feel like you're part of the world.
Right.
In a really, they're positive still.
Right.
They have futures. They're excited. Mm-hmm. They're also messed up.
Totally. But they're kind of like us in a way, adults, where they're experiencing the world in a very strange way. I guess we're kind of all in a weird place. So that's why I love middle schoolers too. So
I like high schoolers and middle school. I like all kids, actually. That's what it comes down to. I really like kids. And I had a great one. So look no further. Look no further.
This was actually the Make Alexis Feel Good episode.
Yes.
I needed a little pick-me-up, so I decided to have my mommy here.
Coffee was not enough.
Oh, yeah, coffee was not enough. No. The 17 botched Postmates orders of coffee that we had. This is a $50 coffee. Order. Don't get it wrong. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're teaching in Vermont. You keep teaching throughout your life, writing. Tell us more.
I was teaching in Vermont, then I was teaching in Massachusetts, and then I was teaching in California, which I did not like because I had to teach in public schools, which was pretty scary, actually, because classes were too big. Mm-hmm. You really couldn't connect with the kids. It was just not for me. So I left that.
Okay.
I started writing for advertising agencies at a time when people still wrote. And
at a time when there were still advertising agencies.
And there were still advertising agencies. Whatever. I don't know what anything is anymore.
And by the way, that was yesterday. And then today, the whole world's different.
Pretty much, yeah. So I was writing ad copy and public relations, and that wasn't very gratifying to me at all. I didn't get a kick out of that.
Right.
What I did
You're not helping people.
And I wasn't helping people, and I gradually understood over the years that that's what made me happy. Mm-hmm. Being with kids, helping people find their way, whatever that way might be. And so I left doing that kind of work while I was writing for magazines also.
Okay.
So I did all that kind of stuff that people do when you're a freelancer. And then I went back to teaching, which I loved. And then I segued from teaching into doing admissions work at a large private school in Los Angeles. And it was very interesting. I did that for 16 years. I probably met every kind of parent that there possibly is on the face of the earth in the interviewing process.
How many students and families do you think you interviewed in those 16 years?
God. I don't know, over 1,000, certainly, more than that. So I would interview the parents, and I interviewed the kids. And the kids were from kindergarten, where we didn't interview them, but we assessed them.
Right.
And then all the way through 12th grade. I transitioned into being an admissions director at a large, very prestigious private school here in Los Angeles.
I mean, I feel like this whole podcast just needs to be about that. But
lots of good stories.
Lots of good stories.
Lots of good stories about very anxious parents and kids who, shall I say, very privileged kids who were just as confused as any other kids.
Money solves money problems.
Pretty much.
And I think there is, and especially in Los Angeles or New York or any of these coastal big
metropolitan areas,
fancy places, like you think of those private schools, I think we think that the kids they're really spoiled, they're really entitled, they're really this, they're really that. I think we've worked with plenty of families that had many spoiled and entitled kids who didn't have any money.
Yes.
You can be spoiled and not be rich.
Absolutely.
As far as the good stories are concerned, and I know there were many, people that you really felt like, and I think this is part of what makes you so great at the college admissions piece, is understanding fit. The school that you worked for was very specific.
Yes.
You might have met with a family and or a student, right, that was great, but not right.
Not the fit.
So let's talk about fit, because you more than anyone, when we put lists together for students, I know I can always look at you and you go, that's not going to be the place for them. They're not going to like it there. And how could you tell when somebody was sitting in your office and you knew that they didn't get your school?
Wow, that's such an interesting question, because there's so many factors involved.
Right.
The personality of the child, the personality of the family, what is the family dynamic? When you have a school that's extremely diverse, if you have a family that doesn't feel comfortable in that, you're going to know that right away. When I meet kids, I can tell probably within 10 minutes where that child is going to be successful in a school. Successful meaning happy, productive, interested, involved, and feeling like they're part of the community.
You were working in admissions at a K through 12 school.
Yes. Very competitive school where we had the option of choosing who we wanted for our school.
There was a lot of scrambling to get into that school.
A lot of scrambling, yes. I started working as an independent school consultant for pre-K really through 12th grade. And then I joined with Alexis and started doing college counseling, as well as continuing with the K through 12 consulting.
That gives you a really interesting perspective, because you're still working with middle schoolers and much younger kids. I mean, tell me a little bit about the K through 12 placement work that you do, because I think this very much informs your empathy and your vision for a child's whole path in the college side of things.
Wow. I think, what I've learned, is that kids are born with personalities.
Yeah.
They are born with them. We can affect them, certainly as parents, and their environment affects them, obviously. But there is an innate core that doesn't seem to change. Here's a good example. I met with a 5-year-old yesterday, almost 5, the cutest, most precious child, little girl. And I was assessing her for kindergarten placement. And the first thing we always do with little ones is to have them draw a picture of their family.
Oh, interesting.
I sat down with her, and the first thing she did was look at me directly in the eyes, great eye contact, and she continued to look at me the whole time she was drawing. She would draw, then she'd look up at me, and she'd smile, and then she'd go back to her drawing.
Wow.
And she drew a wonderful picture of her family, her brother, her father, her mother, her dog, and they all had fingers, and they had toes, and they had ears, and they had eyes.
She's
ready for kindergarten, and her pencil grip was great. And she was the most endearing thing about her was how she looked at me.
Interesting.
She was so curious about me. That is a kid, And she's bright, but there's that quality that she had of being interested is what's going to take her so far. And I know that that's a kid who, by the time she's ready for college, is going to be designing her own path.
Right.
She is just so focused. In a good way, she's not a genius.
Right.
She's not reading at age 5 or 4.5, whatever she is. But you can tell she's going places. And she met with me with such exuberance, had never met me before, invited me right into her world, had me do Play-Doh with her and showed me how to make a Play-Doh flower. And she was those skills are the skills that are really going to benefit her later on in life. And she'll always have those.
Right.
And so you know that person when you meet them.
Right.
Immediately. I mean, her openness, her willingness to meet a stranger and converse with me, and she was quite extraordinary.
Incredible.
Yeah, she was quite extraordinary.
And also that openness and that connectivity with you, but also the fact that she kept looking at you. So she was very self-aware, but also aware of her surroundings, which is really like almost self-protective. Like, I wonder if you're judging me. Like, curious.
Curious. No, and she didn't want me to leave. She wanted me to sit and draw with her.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
She was just adorable and such a special. I had not met a kid that age who was that welcoming immediately to an adult. Now,
okay, go on.
Okay, so that same kid is going to be the kid who applies to college with a sense of direction and purpose.
Right. She knows that probably the style of campus that she wants, or the type of lifestyle she wants, or the type of academic path she's going to be choosing. The parents of a kid like that, and I think talking about, our kids are born, because you've worked with kids that are so young and helped them navigate, find the fit for them. What do you think parents do or parents are concerned about that kind of like doesn't really matter in a lot of ways, because your kid is your kid?
I think with these particular parents whom I had never met before were just lovely, nice people.
Right.
Who really appreciate who their daughter is. And they know she's special in some way, but weren't sure about really what it is about her. And when I pointed it out to them, when I said, what's special and unique about this person is the eye contact she made with me and how curious she was, how open, what a happy child she is. And she's always going to be that person because she has great parents too, obviously. Right. But they're not doing anything special.
And they don't need to.
No, they don't need to. Just provide her with what she needs.
But in sort of the school selection process, I'm just thinking about fast forwarding to the college piece, because of that experience you have. What do we need to remind parents? Because parents like to get in there and make choices. And it's not that they shouldn't or can't have their opinions heard. And believe me, like, they're obviously paying for the experience and all the things. But more often than not, don't you feel like we have to say, like, but that's not who your kid is?
You have to say that, and you also have to point out to them that they need to just go with what they've got. You've been given this person know your child.
Right.
Know who you're with that kid every day. You know. And don't try to make them who they aren't. I guess that's the best advice. If your kid is not a scholarly person who is going to go to a Harvard or a Yale or a Princeton, that's fine. Go with that.
Right.
What's going to make them happy? I remember going through the college process with you and how hard it was, really, for everybody involved. We didn't have any outside help.
Right.
You had a very good college counselor at your school, which was fine. But as you and I and your dad were hashing it out,
right,
it was obvious that you were disappointed by not having a direction per se. And then that was okay. It was okay with us.
Well, that's really special, though. I mean, I think a lot of parents are not comfortable with their kids not having a direction. They're not. And that's where we get the sort of like, you need to be a business major. You need to be a this. And I feel like I'm always talking people off a ledge. And the proof is in the pudding with how the world is changing, that the humanities are such a force now. But as parents going through the process with me, why didn't you care about, like, why were you so cool and chill?
I think we were clueless.
Great.
And I guess being clueless in that particular situation was not a bad thing.
Right.
I really didn't know anything about the process. When I went to applied to college, we applied to 3 colleges, and that was it. And my parents didn't know anything about it. Were not involved. It was not a big deal. Mm-hmm. It's not like what it is today. But the fact that you didn't know exactly what you wanted to do, or the school, what kind of school you wanted, was kind of an interesting thing, because you got to explore. And I think my advice to parents is let your kids explore. Let them find their way. You're there to guide them. You're not there to tell them. You can't tell them.
As a parent, I find myself in this awkward position with a 9th grader, because I think we all feel like, ooh, if we could just scaffold and help create and mold these situations for our kids and then let them go, right? Mm-hmm. Like, here's the application for such and such program, or, oh, you really love this thing? Why don't you open a car wash business, or why don't you do this thing? And we make all these suggestions, and maybe we'll help fund the project or whatever it is. How much is too much?
I think essentially we're there as parents to support and to guide and to create a framework for them.
Okay. What does that look like?
Within which they can work.
Okay.
Okay. What does it look like? What does the framework look like?
Yeah.
Let them know that you're going to support them.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain things you're not going to support.
Like what?
Oh, I want to open our car wash business. Well, great. How are you planning to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the supplies? How much is it going to cost?
Right.
Help them frame what the business is going to look like. Mm-hmm. So they're not just going willy-nilly into it.
What if they didn't have the idea in the first place and you planted it in their mind? Is that already too much?
No, planting a seed is great. See if they'll run with it.
Right.
And then
see
support
if they'll run
them.
with it.
See if they'll run with it. If they don't do it automatically, you're not going to make it happen. It's just not going to.
That's the problem. And I see that all too often with parents of my generation. We're hustlers, right? So like especially if we've had our own businesses, and a lot of us, like you said, were born that way. We came out of the womb like, find that job, hustle, ask, project, look, observe, get. And our kids have everything right here. Mm-hmm. And it's not that they're not, like, we have students that are hustlers that go out and do the things. But, and I'm kind of like, I'm actually giving myself some therapy right now. Those are kids whose parents never told them to do those things.
They're born, not made.
The students that we have who started their own businesses or started their own 501c3s, or a student that I have who was just featured in local news here in Los Angeles with an app that he designed. Okay. His parents did not create that monster in him. He has been like that since he was in 7th grade. The questioning, can't we do more? Like, and then he also, I should probably have him on the podcast. He also is extremely curious, and literally every week goes out and cold calls and solicits CEOs from different companies all over the world.
Wow.
Cold emails them for advice. No one was like, okay, now is the time we're going to sit down and email these people. No, he does it all himself.
Right.
He's totally not on a traditional college trajectory. And he's an anomaly, clearly. But I'm saying to myself, why do I create so many opportunities for my children?
Well, that's also true. Let them create their own opportunities. Mm-hmm. And I think that we're afraid to do that. We're afraid they won't do it.
And then what happens if they don't?
We don't have confidence in them.
That's the problem.
And if they don't, I guess they don't.
Let's go. I want to go down that road because I see so many parents. Like, I want to go all the way to the end of that road.
Ooh,
what is
scary.
the fear? Okay, so they don't do the things that we've that we have envisioned them needing to do. And so you love cars and you love this thing. Start the car wash business. Okay. And maybe you buy the supplies for them.
Right.
Maybe you put it all together for them. Maybe or whatever. And they just don't do it.
They don't move down the line with it.
I would imagine there are other things they don't move down the line with.
Right. So I saw kids come into kindergarten.
Yeah. And graduate, basically.
And graduate. Yeah. And I saw that trajectory, and I saw how they grew and how they developed. And a lot of that had to do with the school and the parents because they were given opportunities, but they weren't told what to do.
Right.
In this particular academic environment, which was very academic, but academic in a different way.
Right.
Academic because they were given choices. They made their choices with guidance. And when the choices didn't work out, they were the owners of their own decisions. And I think that when they graduated, they were so confident and so self-assured that they were the ones coming out of this kind of non-traditional school who got into the best colleges and universities.
Yeah.
And then as an interviewer, as a director of admissions, I would interview parents who were actually interviewing for the Ivy Leagues. And they said, well, the kids that we interviewed from this school were kids who knew how to think and were doing things not because they were told to do them, but because they had the passion to do them.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what you look for at every stage from kindergarten, from this little girl that I saw yesterday. You know she's got a passion for something. You don't know what it is yet.
Oh, she's going to have a passion project.
She's going to have a passion.
Can we just fast forward 10 years and get her, like, she's going to have, we should start the passion project now.
Yes, exactly. I know that this kid is going to be successful. Yeah. I can see. Listen, life takes you in different places, right? And you never know. But with the kind of personality she has, she'll be successful. We knew that about you. And maybe that was something that made it easier to raise you. You were always such a go-getter. Always so interested in things. They were diverse, to be sure, and they weren't always carried out thoroughly, but you had that energy. I mean, it was that energy that propelled you to do whatever you did and to do it well, without much guidance from us, honestly.
And I wasn't perfectionistic. I think that that's another thing, too, that's really hard. There is a culture that breeds perfectionism now.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that's a trait that people are born with too. But I think that because they see these anomalous situations, whether it's, the tech empires, the this, the that, the sort of the fast money moments, or so they think. It's obsession with fast success and doing things right the first time, otherwise I'm not going to be successful. And I think parents are victims of that too. And that's why we want to fast track our kids all the time. Like, it's so hard to get into college. Like, you're going to have to do this thing. You're going to have to do the special project. You're going to have to do the special this thing. How are we going to set you apart? What if a kid is just normal?
Whatever normal means.
They play sports. They are in some clubs. They're happy. They have friends. They're nice. Like compassionate humans. They don't necessarily have a particular deep interest in anything.
Okay.
I find myself at times when I'm with clients and I'm interviewing them, which is what we do, and that's our process, right? So when we get a new client that comes to us, we do what we call a student profile strategy session, which is about an hour and a half to 2 hour intake. And I always tell the kids, this is kind of like seeing the doctor for the first time, right? We're getting your vitals. We're figuring out, and sometimes I get a kid that's like, just like a nice, normal kid. Like, there's not anything like crazy exceptional. Like, oh my God, they're a genius at science, or they're a this or a that, or they're really a self-starter and they're going to start their own bit. And I find myself thinking about you a lot because I know that when I'm in a session with you, I really observe the questions that you ask, or even Allison, who works on our team too. She's a therapist. The questions that she asked, and you guys are trained in interview styles. I'm not. And the patience with which you approach a student. Because my problem is that I will rush to go, okay, let's figure out how we're going to get this application going. Like, how are we going to position you? Let's look at all the things, and we're going to figure that out. And I have to remind myself as a parent and as an educator and as an admissions person to go, maybe that's just like not who this person is. And that's okay too. But what questions would you ask the normal, nice kid?
I think the first one I always ask is, what makes you happy? What makes you happiest? When and where are you happiest? And very
Questions
often
I literally ask.
when and where are you happiest? Tell us, are you happiest when you're with your friends just hanging out at the mall? Are you happiest when you're with your family doing something? Are you happiest when you're learning something? And what is it that you're happiest learning?
Okay.
That's one of the questions I always ask kids, because kids are they're especially teenagers, they're very internal. I mean, it's hard for them to express themselves for fear. A lot of them fear that they're going to be wrong or say the wrong thing. Yeah. They're very self-conscious. It's that age, and it's appropriate. But I think what I try to get them to do is feel comfortable with me, and that I'm going to like them no matter what they say.
Kids get around you and they feel comfortable. Like I think sometimes, and when we have the parents sitting there in these initial intake meetings, that's hard.
Yeah.
But our style is very, we're working with the kids. Not for them, not against them. We are working, we want to empower them. Once they see you as an ally.
Right, an ally. And I think what goes on a lot in the culture in which we live is that we don't, once again, getting back to this, kids are kids. They're not adults.
Yeah.
They're not little adults when they're younger. Yeah. They're not, even when they get big and they're 6 feet tall, they're still not adults. They're kids, which means they don't know a lot. They seem very sophisticated because of their access to media and their access to what's going on in the world, which is totally messing them up. But I think that they're still children. They're not grown-ups. They don't have any experience in life. And that's something to keep in mind at every stage of their growth and development. Whether you're starting working in kindergarten, where is a kindergartner at? What does a kindergartner know? His family. That's it. His or her family. That's all. That's their world. Right. Their world gets bigger as they get older. But even when they're 17, how big is their world really? What does it revolve around? What experiences have they had? Now, some kids, unfortunately, have very traumatic experiences. Right. Those are the kids who grow up before they need to grow up because they've seen what life can really do. And it can be scary, or they've handled it really well.
Or both.
Or both, or as best they could handle it. But they haven't. Some kids will shy away from it. Some kids will go for it. But I think we have to remember they're still children. They don't have experience. We adults have had experiences that have taught us along the way. We've made mistakes. We've learned from them. Hopefully we don't repeat them. And even if we repeat them again,
maybe we'll learn one day.
Maybe we'll learn one day. Right. Those kids don't know that. They think if they make a mistake, it's over.
And going back to and that's part of it, part of what has been ingrained in them is that fear that a parent has of like, okay, you're not a self-starter, you're not a this, you're kind of a basic student, you're like, what's gonna happen?
Right.
Down the line, are we afraid that this child is gonna like never get a job? They're gonna get into a college. That's the other thing I'm always they're like, but then the question is, what college?
There are 4,500, I believe, that was the last statistic I read, colleges and universities in this country. Your child will go to a college. It may not be.
What if it's not the college that I want them to go to?
That's okay. It doesn't matter. Because what is college really for?
Okay, I want to hear your perspective on that.
College is a place to grow up.
Okay.
It's 4 years of still being supported by your family, perhaps, or whatever you have to do to go there. But
Right.
you're in a sheltered environment, essentially, where you can learn stuff. You can learn academic stuff. You can learn life stuff. You can learn how to get along with other people that you've never met before or encountered in any way. You can learn how to handle yourself in maybe some tough situations socially. You can learn stuff. But that's what college is for. It's for learning all those things. It's not just about preparing yourself for a specific career. And besides, who knows what those careers are going to be? We have no idea at this point. Now, this is also messing with their heads, I got to tell you. These kids are so fearful right now that they'll never get a job because a robot is going to come in and take it from them, that there's not going to be anything they can do. And that's another level of fear. And I think our kids, unfortunately, are propelled by fear and anxiety. And they're ingesting it from everything around them and also from their parents.
I mean, how can they not be?
Exactly. And you can tell them it's going to be okay. But once again, it comes back to experience. They're going to have to experience it. They're going to have to go through it and realize that they can control their destiny in some way.
They have to be able to move through discomfort.
Yes.
Make certain choices, the right choices, the wrong choices, get out of those situations, figure out how to regroup, pivot, all of that. And once you know that, you build some self-confidence. We protect our children too much, so they don't.
Totally.
They don't, and I see this too with our students who've really, and I think they're starting to work with us a lot earlier. So part of our work is kind of getting the parents to move back a little bit so that we can work with them and help them, like what you're saying. What makes you happiest?
What makes you when are you happiest?
Right. When parents are constantly feeding their kids information and not listening and all that stuff, it's kind of like they go to college and that's when they experience really bad anxiety. Because everything's been they have no skills.
Right.
And we've been seeing that, I would say, probably for the past, I got my first phone call from a client. I think you hadn't started working with us yet. First anxiety-ridden phone call from a client who had started Vanderbilt. I will never forget this. And she goes, I can't do this. I'm so uncomfortable here. And I therapized her. Mom had called me and goes, I don't know if we're like in a transfer situation. I don't know what's going on with her, but she was very, very, very anxious. And she didn't come from a family that really coddled her. It wasn't like that. She was one of many. They had a big family. But she was homesick. And it was the first time she'd ever really experienced homesickness. She'd never been to camp before. She's like, I can't really eat. I can't really sleep. I can't really this. I can't really that. I'm so uncomfortable. Da, da, da. And so she and I worked together a little bit on helping her create a new definition and a new sense of home there. This isn't replacing your home.
Right.
I was like, what's your favorite show? Friends is my favorite show. I said, great. Put Friends on. Every time you're starting to feel those pangs of panic, put Friends on. Get cozy in your bed. You don't have, just those little touchstones. I like to go to the gym, or I liked this. Great. Build that into your day. She figured out how to create a home for herself. She was the oldest in her family, but she was the first one to go to college. Now the subsequent kids all did fine, but I think it was the first time she'd ever done something like that, and that's natural. But it's the phone calls that we get where they won't get out of their dorms. They won't go to class. They won't select their courses for the next semester or quarter or whatever it is. They won't, it's basically like they get there and they almost have like a complete breakdown. They can't do their laundry. They can't take care of themselves. They can't. And, the parents will ultimately say, I've done everything for them.
Well, there you go. All these kids should be getting jobs when they're 10.
I mean, literally, go mow some lawns or go,
Right.
And that's why we always say, get a job.
Get a job.
and again, easier said than done,
Right, of course.
depending on where you live and what you're, in a place like LA or New York, it's a lot harder. If you're in a small town, it can be a little bit easier. But yes, or again, make your own luck or make your own opportunity, create the job. Do you love babysitting? Great. Create your own babysitters club. But again, we can suggest that to them.
Right.
But
well, we act in the college process in a sense in loco parentis. We take on the parents' responsibilities for a certain amount of time, and we free the parents from theirs. Hopefully, I mean, I think that's our job. Our goal is for the parents to. You talked about it. Parents step back. We step into that role in a different way because we're not judging these kids. They know we're not.
Right.
They know their parents are. As a parent, it's impossible not to. Right.
So do you think parents judge their kids?
Oh, yeah. All the time. And I think they compare their kids to other kids.
I don't do that. What do you mean?
All the time. In their heads. In their heads.
I'm feeling it seep in big time now that Max is, and he feels it too from me. Mm-hmm. And I was a lot better when I was like, I don't care. I don't care when he goes to college, whatever you want. But now I'm like, oh, God, like I have a middle of the year ninth grader, almost the end of the year ninth grader.
And look at him. What is he doing?
And so it's like, what are you what? And I'm spending too much time caring, probably.
Probably.
What's your motherly advice for me?
Oh my God.
If I were your client and I came to you with my ninth grade kid, who is as he is, has his things that he likes, very social. He's into fashion. He's into surfing. He's got his things. What do I do?
Help yourself realize that peer pressure from his friends, from his friend group, is going to be more effective than anything you can possibly do at this point. At some point next year in 10th grade, he's going to have friends coming to him saying, I really want to take this class because it's really awesome. And I really want to, and I'm really interested in this college. And it's going to happen to him. And it's going to happen to him not because of you, but because of his peer group. And I guess that's the other thing I want to tell parents, that when you have a teenager, you are not that important anymore.
Yeah.
Whenever you have a tween, you're not that important anymore. The friend group is the most important thing in that child's life. You're there. Once again, you're there to provide the guidance, the shelter, the protection, but you're not there to influence him directly.
Right.
What's going to happen is that somewhere in the side, in that little brain that they have,
lizard brain,
the lizard brain, the lizard teenage brain, is the foundation that you have laid when they were little. The values, the things that are significant to you as a family, and that family unit, whatever the unit is. It could be mom and dad and grandma and grandpa and whatever, or it could be just mom and child. But whatever that foundation is of values and things that are important to you and how you have given them opportunities to express those values is going to stand them, is what is there in the back of their brain, somewhere, lodged there forever, to draw on.
Right.
Or to reject. One of the problems with, I think, that I see with these kids that we coach and counsel is the fact that they're not sure they have anything to reject. Life has been made very easy for a lot of these kids, in a lot of ways.
Right.
They've gotten what they wanted. They've gotten what they needed. They go to great camps. They go to good schools.
Right.
They have
caring. They've got great parents.
They have caring parents. They may not be great parents, but they're parents who love them.
Right.
Those are essentially the people that we work with, which is not to say that that is the general population.
Absolutely not.
Okay? But these are the people that we work with because they want to use us to help support their kids.
Right.
Obviously.
And presumably, if you're listening to the podcast, you're in this zone also.
Right.
If you're listening to the podcast, you've already done your work as a parent.
Exactly. Check that off.
But yes, absolutely, of course. Like in the zeitgeist of our universe,
in our world,
right?
We're dealing with these parents, and the kids don't really feel like they have anything to rebel against. When I grew up, I had plenty to rebel against.
Right.
My parents did not care one whit about my emotions or my feelings or what made me happy or what didn't. Those were not conversations that were ever had in my house. It was all about what my parents wanted and how they wanted things done, and nothing about us. We were incidental. Now, that is not how we raise our children these days.
Right.
At all. That's a very old-fashioned style of parenting.
Yeah.
Where we come first, you come second.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's you come first, we come second. Parents second, kids first.
Right.
I don't know
that's
what the answer is. I think it's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in the middle. But so you talk to kids and they say, well, they think they want to be just like their parents, but they're not who their parents are, and they're not growing up in that time.
Right.
They're in a totally different universe. This is like the future that they're going to have. We can't even imagine. So therefore, what's important? What's important are those values, their ability to connect with other people, which is not easy these days because
Huge.
they only connect with media.
Right.
But there is, I notice, a certain backlash in kids, the older kids, who are saying, I'm tired of this. This is exhausting. I don't want to be on social media. I don't want any part of this. I want to have my own, I want privacy. Not that they can really have it, but I want privacy. And I want to be my own person.
Your grandson.
Yes.
He does not want to be on my social media. He does not want to have pictures taken of him. He feels like it's exploitative.
Yes, it is.
And
that's absolutely right.
He's kind of like, get me off this. You know, I'm not into, he has social media and he posts occasionally or whatever, but mainly social media because they're on Snapchat and that's how they talk to each other. That's their version of texting.
Right.
And that's how they know each other. That's how their world has gotten, the depth and breadth of their world is through Snapchat. It's very interesting. And it's not, I think a lot of it is disconcerting, but a lot of it's kind of cool. He can be like, I was on with a client the other day. And normally I would never do this because everything we do is confidential. But this was a client that had come to me through friends who worked, we all know each other.
Right.
So it wasn't like and Max said, you're talking to so-and-so, tell her that, and he gave his Snap handle, says hi. And I said to her, Max, blah, 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 his handle says hi. And she goes, oh my God, he's your son. I love it. Like, their world is cool that way. It's really, they do feel connected to a larger source, and they have their tentacles are, once they go to college, they know everyone everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's something that we didn't have that. Of course, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have any of that stuff. So I think that's cool for them. I think that's special for them in a lot of ways because it can be, obviously it's hard. Sort of like being in a small town.
Yep.
Weird, right? We know too much about people. But it's also feels, I don't know, I guess it could feel empty or kind of superficial, but I do find that is one thing about the teen world that I find interesting. That they are so aggressively connected to each other. It's kind of wild. But it's going back to what you said first. And I find that every time I do a podcast and we start talking about whether somebody's done a career pivot or we're talking about them or their kids or whatever. And Donna Bowling said this, and I often refer back to it. She said, most people know what they want to be in some capacity, whether it's through imaginative play or whatever. By the time they're about 7, you can kind of see it in your kid. You sort of whether they're super compassionate or they get along really well with people or they're really good with adults or whatever it is. She's like, at 7, I wanted to be a talk show host. And I would just be a talk show host in my room all day, talking to my stuffed animals. And, that's kind of what she's doing now, right? As a podcast host.
Right.
What you're saying is they are who they are.
They are who they are. You would stand in front of a mirror and act out all kinds of things. And you wanted to be an actor initially.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that.
Because I think this is good information for parents who have kids who have multiple interests. I had a lot of creative talent.
Yep.
And curiosity, and that was kind of my extracurricular path. I was not an athlete by any means, but I did do ballet, I did dance, Were you like worried I was going to become an actor?
Quite the opposite.
See, this is where I have these like wild parents that are like, do what you want. Okay, so quite the opposite. Talk to us about that.
We thought you were very talented, which you are. And I wanted you to be an actor. As
Guys,
hard as I
knew, you listening to this?
I'm the only parent.
She's the only parent in the world who wanted her kid to be an actor. But why?
Because I saw that that was what you were suited for.
Right.
I mean, that's what you loved to do. If I had asked you at the time, where are you happiest? You probably would have said on stage.
You're right.
And I knew that's what fed you, that was your creative soul.
Right.
And so I thought that was what you should have done.
Okay, so I'm this actor kid. I even did some child acting.
Yes.
Got an agent.
Yep. All those things. We're the voice of Penny for a while.
I was voice of Penny for you Zillennials.
Yes.
If you watch Pee-wee's Playhouse, I was one of the voices of Penny from Pee-wee's Playhouse. So if you don't know that claymation doll, you better do some research because you never watched TV then.
Yeah, exactly.
On Saturday morning.
What is TV? I don't even know what TV is.
Our kids don't even know. In fact, the other day, I was, when my son was sick and I was like lying in bed, and he actually hung out with me.
Aww.
And we watched TV together.
Wow.
And now that he's 15 and a half, we got to watch TV that I like, which was Law & Order SVU.
Ooh.
And I don't know when the last time my son actually has watched a full episode of television, or he's not like a kid that binges Grey's Anatomy or he just doesn't. Plays video games and whatever. He goes, at the end of the first episode, he says, "Are all the episodes this detailed?" And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, they're like long and a lot happens."
Yeah. unlike on the video game.
YouTube, I'm like, yeah, that's an episodic episode of television. And he's like, wow, it's a lot. I'm like, yeah, it's a lot. And he goes, can we watch the next one? I'm like, yeah. Let's watch the next one.
He was hooked.
He was hooked. We watched about 4 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, so I do the acting thing. You don't discourage it, you encourage it.
We encouraged it. Absolutely. That was your talent.
And did you figure if she doesn't want to do it, she won't do it? What was your attitude about it?
Get a bartender's license. You'll always be able to support yourself.
Guys, my secret talent is that, and this is just to give you an idea of how my parents raised me, and then we're going to get back to the acting thing. I graduate from UCLA. I still kind of don't really know what I'm doing. I'm dabbling with the acting. I'm dabbling with the writing. I'm not sure. They're like, go get your bartender's license. I don't even know if that's even like a requirement, but at the time it seemed like it was a requirement. You needed a license. It was like a fake business that people would, whatever. It was more go to bartending school.
Yes. Go to school.
I went to bartending school.
You did, and you graduated cum laude.
I actually did extremely well, and one of my talents is that I'm a really good bartender. And they were like, "You'll always have a job But this idea was, you're always going to be able to support yourself if you have some of these skills.
Yes.
If you're going to be an artist, and you're going to go there, then you can't half-ass it. You gotta go all the way.
You have to go all the way.
It can't be your, just a gig.
Right. Can't be a hobby.
So I didn't become a professional actor.
Because?
Well, I did not like the day-to-day mishigas, as one might say, of the auditioning and the uncertainty.
I think you actually liked the auditioning. If I remember correctly.
It was the uncertainty that was really boring to me and uncomfortable. It was like, okay, you might get a show, you might get a this, you might get a that, or not. And I was like, this is not for me. I need stability.
Mm-hmm.
But you let me come to that conclusion on my own.
not a conclusion I wanted you to come to.
She's wild.
I wanted you to go for the uncertainty.
So what? Okay, so I start my own business. I mean, that's also uncertain.
Yes, very uncertain.
I started a tutoring company at their suggestion. Actually, was like, well, you've been tutoring as your kind of
on campus
side
job.
hustle, whatever. Like, so they were in full support. Start your own business. They didn't. You never told me how. I mean, you gave me suggestions. I mean, we always had our own business at my house, so that wasn't weird to anybody,
right?
But I figured out the things. I got some advice from you. I thank God for the internet that was in existence at that time. But what do you think the acting does? Or if your kid's a dancer or they're an athlete and you're like, are you going to you're never going to be a professional athlete. Why are we still doing it? Or you're never going to be a college athlete. Why are you still? And I'm always saying to parents like, no, like this is skill building.
It's important stuff. It's really important stuff, whether it's acting or dancing or being on a team. It all gives you skills. It gives you life skills. What does acting do for a kid? You know, you're in a production with 20 other people or 30 other people. You're learning to be part of a team.
It's working at a company, basically.
You're being part of a team. You become a family. You know how to support each other. You know that if one person messes up, the other person has to fill in.
Yep.
You learn these, and the same on the athletic field, whether it's soccer or volleyball, or you all have to support each other. You all have to be there for each other. You have to celebrate the wins, and you have to console each other for the losses. Mm-hmm. And you have to be there as a group, as a team. And I think that that's the most important thing you learn. And you learn how to suffer through the adversity, and you learn how to suffer through the pain and come out on the other side. And all of those skills are life skills. So it doesn't really matter what they are.
Right.
It doesn't matter if it's acting or dancing or volleyball or football or whatever, but it's what you learn in the process. And it is that process that turns you into a full-fledged human being at some point in your life. I don't know when that happens because I'm still wondering about myself. So therefore, you know, life is a process, and it's constantly changing. And you want your kids to be able to change and not fall apart. That's the important thing. Can they stay glued together through the tough times? And I don't know, when you think about some of the times that parents and grandparents and great-grandparents have been through, and you go back through history in your own family, somebody came over on a boat from Ireland, the potato famine in the 19th century, and they had nothing. They came in rags.
Yep.
And they left their families and their homes, and they started new lives. How did they do that?
Totally.
How do people do it now? Mm-hmm. We have people who are dying to come to this country so they can work and so that they can have a life.
Right.
And meanwhile, they're leaving their own countries and their own homes with essentially what they've got on their backs.
Right.
That takes enormous...
That's true adversity.
That takes enormous courage. Do our kids have courage? Do they have some grit? We hear that word a lot.
And can they work through, I mean, you had mentioned, we were talking about like, as an athlete, like you also work through pain.
Yes.
Physical pain. I remember as an actor, like I remember I was starring in a play at school and I had really bad bronchitis. I was super sick. And I had the grit. I had to show up. I had to do the thing. There was no other person who was going to play the role.
Right.
So that also gave me such like a lot of skills of like the show up, the be there. Maybe you're not going to be the A+ that day, but that's okay. What you had done for me was like supporting me going deep into my passion and interest for acting, you know, whether it was professional endeavors or community theater or whatever, summer programs, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. For our students, when you ask them that question, what makes you happiest? And they're like, oh, I love to, I don't know, give me something. I love to,
I don't know, make pots. I love pottery.
Okay. I really love my ceramics class.
Yeah.
I really love pottery.
Right.
Oh, that's interesting. But they also have all these other kind of peppered in activities and different things that they're doing.
I'm on the track team. I love pottery. I also love math. It could be a whole bunch of things. Kids are multi-talented in so many ways.
How do we avoid being a jack of all trades, though, on the resume? Because if a parent might say, well, she has the opportunity to do this mathlete program over the summer, but it conflicts with this. She actually got into this really cool ceramics class that's like really hard to get into, and it's at the local college and whatever. And we're weighing. What do you tell them on the resume? Like, what do you say to the parent? Well, I kind of think, because I know where the parent's head is.
Right. Math.
But I might be looking at the kid and seeing like, maybe that's not what you want to do.
Yeah, you have to listen to your kid.
Yeah.
And you have to watch them. You have to watch your kids. Really watch them. I don't mean watch over them.
Right.
After they're littles, you have to watch over them, to watch them evolve. Taking that ceramics class in the summertime might be the best thing for that kid.
Well, and also, doing more with the thing. Like, it's okay that it's ceramics. Yeah. Guess what? Hot news. Your kid's probably not going to become a ceramicist. Maybe they will. That would be cool. That's a great angle. Not going to lie. And we're always looking for those things. We're like, oh, that's actually really cool. The math thing's kind of like, wah. No, sorry. I mean, if they're in advanced math courses and all that stuff, but like,
why can't
they coexist?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. They coexist. True. Math and art, by the way, are not mutually exclusive.
Very true.
A lot of artists were incredibly good mathematicians. And maybe there are people who would have been an architect.
That's very true.
Maybe not. But when you take a look at Mondrian and you look at people who did a lot of geometrics, when you look at the geometry of a Leonardo da Vinci portrait or scene, the geometry is amazing.
These are certain Picasso's when he's in different phases, like
totally
Cubism. And I mean, I think you're right. And I'm thinking about our fake kid right now that I just made up, the mathematician ceramicist. You just unlock, because we might go, you could be like a civil engineer. You like to build things. You like to create things. You like to see, 3D stuff. And I think on that note, as far as like helping kids pull those things together, their life experience, whatever they've had thus far. A lot of times they think they don't have any life experience too.
Well, a lot of times they don't think they're anything special. And that's our job as counselors, is to help them find and focus on and feel within themselves what that special thing is. And sometimes there's all this stuff and they just don't know how to untangle it.
And it's the judgment too.
Yeah. And being judged. How will my friends see me? How do my parents see me? How do you see me? And our job is to say, we don't see you anyway. You tell us who you are. We'll help you find that.
Sometimes I notice you're very good at saying to them, wow, you're a really compassionate person. Like, you love animals. It looks like, and then all of a sudden you unlock that gate. And I've adopted that skill too.
You do that too.
But I got it from you because.
Aw, thank you.
No, I mean, I got it from you because you always, I hear you when you talk to kids, and I know that this is something you probably said in your interviews from all those years, like, you really blah, blah, blah. And the kids don't think of themselves necessarily as compassionate or empathetic or creative or industrious or whatever. I got it from my mama.
Well, the other thing I always ask them is the adjective question.
Right.
Give me 5 adjectives to describe yourself. How would you describe yourself? And then when they come up, which is hard for me to do.
It's very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable, but they're amazingly good at it, honestly. They come up with really good things. And then you can sort of build from there. Oh, you think you're really organized. Tell me about that. So I can learn something because I'm not that organized.
Because you've said nothing during this whole session.
Because I'm not that organized.
That's true.
What's your secret? I want to know it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm very organized, or I'm really good with my sister, my little sister. I love taking care of her. Oh, tell me about that. And then you find out, you go deeper and deeper and deeper, and these kids, they're just layers and layers and layers because these kids are wonderfully intricate and interesting.
Then we often say, like, I bet she was like that when she was born. And then the parents will go, oh, she was always taking care of her cousin. She's always been really good with animals and babies and this and that. And then we start to kind of go, okay, well, what about the volunteering at the animal shelter? What about doing more babysitting? What about doing this? What about doing that?
It's like having this wonderful box of treasures that you just keep opening up and pulling things out. And that's how I always think about working with these kids and talking with them and helping them find their way through what is to them a terrifying process.
What is to most a terrifying process.
A terrifying process because they feel like they're going to be left behind or they're not going to be good enough. And when they write that essay, the common application personal essay, and you get them started on it and they say, oh, I really can talk about this. This is kind of interesting. It's kind of cool. I mean, I think that teenagers, generally speaking, they're sorting out so much stuff.
Right.
There's physical stuff. There's emotional stuff. There's social stuff. There's academic stuff. There's these brains are just buzzing with stuff.
Right.
And emotions. And I think back to myself as a teenager, and I was just a puddle of emotions, just like totally. All over the place. I was erratic, and I was psychotic, and I was whatever you want to call it. One day I was high, the next day I was low, the next day I was crying, the next day, and I kind of still feel all of that. I remember it. And so when you talk to these kids about, what do you want to write about? Well, I'm the head of my cheerleading squad, or I'm the head of this, or I just learned how to do that, or whatever it is.
Whatever that's like listed on the activities list.
The activities. It's the activities list. And they're thinking that they have to be all of these things. And I said, no. Let's talk about something that really has changed you in some way. Well, nothing's changed me. You're like, okay. So there was this one girl I was working with who thought that she was going to write about being the head of student council. And I said, well, that's great. But, maybe there's more to you than just that.
And we see that already. We already know what heading, unless it's a really specific thing about that.
Right.
A project you work, but
how you got there, maybe.
Personal statement can be so much more, shouldn't be concrete like that.
No, it should be more revealing about who you are. So I asked what kind of town she grew up in and what her family was like. And we dug deeper and deeper and deeper. Winds up that she lives in a farming community. I said, well, I don't think I've worked with anybody who grew up that way. So what do you do? I mean, what's your family like? It turns out that she did a lot of work on the farm, and how that connected with her leadership abilities and how that connected with her interest in business, and how farming is such an up and down business all the time, and how you survive that, and what kind of strengths it's given her. So we moved from, I want to talk about being the head of student council boring, to writing an essay about her life, really, and what her life in this particular situation has taught her and given her in so many different ways, academically, socially, and the leadership we were able to fit that in too.
So you were able to weave and I probably like the unpredictability of that, the having to be resilient, the having to be creative. So you can put those activities listy things they can find a space if you're going to do it, but it has to be within a much larger, more revelatory context.
Well, she was talking about how her family survived these ups and downs in farming.
And we would never know that.
It was. We would not know that. And we wouldn't know that about her, and how her dad showed her what it was like to have to go to the bank and borrow money when the crop failed.
Wow.
And how you worked through that. And I think that was really revelatory for her, because she hadn't really thought about it that way. It was just part of her life. And that's, for a lot of these kids, that's what it is. It's part of my life. What's so special about that? Well, it's very special, because we're all unique.
Interesting.
Everyone's unique. You may not feel it or know it, but you are. And that's when they find out that they have something that's unique about them, they'll run with it.
Yeah. And they don't, I think we all suffer from that too. Like there's sort of a imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids, even in really serious scenarios, so we've had them where they've had a sick parent or they've had things where they're like, well, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
And you're like, but you know that's not really how most kids grow up.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't talk about it here, we will not really know about that aspect of your life. And just talking about her, like I'm already thinking as an admissions officer, I'm going, wow, look at this skill set she has.
Mm-hmm.
How interesting for her to be the roommate of like a city person.
Right.
Right? Like what an interesting contribution to the classroom or to student life or whatever that she can bring.
Well, one of the questions that's always asked on these college applications is, what can you bring to our community?
Right.
That's always a supplemental question for most schools.
In some way, yeah.
In some form. What are you going to bring to us? What are you going to get from us, and what are you going to give us?
Mm-hmm.
It's a reciprocal arrangement.
Right.
I think students and parents tend to think it's, well, what's a college going to give us?
Or they actually think the college is against them. They're really looking for reasons to accept you, not to deny you.
Yes, that's the other thing I tell people about admissions people. Admissions people are really nice. They're like me. They really care.
They do.
They care. That's why they're doing the work they're doing. They really care. They want to take you. They would love to take all of you as long as you have the skills and you can do the work. They'd love to. They can't, obviously. So they have to make very difficult decisions. That was the worst part of my job when I was in an admissions office, was making those decisions.
I remember that. I remember when it was decision time, how horrible it was. You get so attached to people and you fight for people. And
I'd stand up in the middle of an admissions decision meeting and say, I want this kid.
Right.
This is a great kid. Yeah, but he doesn't have this or doesn't have that. Yes, but look at this. Mm-hmm. Look at what this child brings to the situation, to us.
Right.
And look what we can bring to them. So it is that partnership in college. When kids are applying to college, the colleges want to know, yes, can you do the work? Yes, will you fit in with our population? But what are you going to do when you're here?
Mm-hmm. And afterwards, like, how are you going to represent our school later on too? I think for some schools that's important.
That is important for some schools.
Right.
For other schools, it's not. The other thing you have to remember is that there are really 10 schools or 10 colleges that really make a difference whether you go to them or not.
And the rest of them, no one cares.
And the rest of them, it's just all going to be good. Some of the most successful people I've ever met have gone to state colleges and universities. Mm-hmm. They are the most aggressive, the hungriest, and the ones who accomplish the most.
Well, and I guess I'm a product of that. So there we go. Okay, so we wrap up.
Yes.
This is a segment you don't know about. This is something about my life you don't know about. There's a segment of the podcast. We call it the Admit It segment. Okay, so I'm going to hit you with 2 Admit It's. Now, there are some people who want more. They're like, no, I like this. Let's do more of this. So we're going to start with 1.
I didn't know about this. Should I leave now?
Okay. Admit it. Are teenagers just another version of toddlers?
No.
Okay.
They're not. They have more skills than toddlers do.
Okay.
They may be as emotional as toddlers. Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
Right.
Because their hormones are sort of going through a whole different phase, right?
Right.
They're not like toddlers. I don't think so. And they're not like little adults either. They're in a special place.
Yeah.
And if you're the parent of one of these people, you know it's a special place.
And you also deserve a special place for yourself.
You do.
The place of sanity somewhere.
Here's the story. They're no longer little kids, right? Suddenly they're not a kid anymore. Suddenly, when they're 13, they're starting to realize that they're different.
Right.
And their bodies are changing and their interests are changing and they're just all over the place. Mm-hmm. That's a special and unique part of life. And it has to be treated as such, I think, particularly middle school kids. They're a lot of fun. And they're a lot of fun because they're still so open and things are just so interesting to them.
And that's also a great time as a parent when you're thinking about college, because you are thinking about college. I'm sorry. And especially if you're listening to this and you have a middle schooler, you know you're thinking about it. You can't help yourself.
You can't help yourself. Exactly.
It's a great low stress time to pepper in exposure.
Exactly. And that's what those tween years are all about. It's exposing them, letting them try things, letting them do things, let them fail, let them succeed, let them do it. When you get to high school, Mel Robbins.
Shout out, let them
do it.
Guess who bought me the Let Them Theory book?
I did.
Do you think I read it?
No. Let them do it. Mm-hmm. Let them try things.
Yeah.
And if you're sending your kid to any school, really, all educators realize that middle school is nothing like anything else.
Well, which is why nobody looks at your middle school grades.
No, exactly. You're there to try, explore, do stuff. Get to ninth grade, all of a sudden the pressure's on.
That's hard. Right? It's really hard.
It's hard. It's a big transition.
And they're not ready for it.
They're not ready for it. They still want to be in that limbo place, where they can try stuff and do stuff and get away with stuff. 10th grade, more serious. That's where you really have to start trying to guide them without telling them what to do. Yeah. You should be doing this. You should be practicing this much. You should be doing that much. No.
You should be starting the project. You should be doing the thing. If they don't
want to, you're not going to be able to make them.
Admit it. What is the biggest mistake that people make in their college essays?
They don't know how to tell their story.
Yeah.
They don't know how to tell a story. We no longer live in a culture of storytellers.
It's true. Really true.
Grandma and grandpa are not passing on their stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because the kids are too busy to listen. And I speak from experience because I know.
How can we mitigate them? Because your college application is a story.
It's a story. Tell your story. Let's hear your story from your heart, from your gut.
Mm-hmm.
You think you don't have a story, but you have a story. Everybody does. Make it a story. Make it interesting. Don't give me a list of your activities, or I was a this, or I was a that, and I like this, and I like that. No. Mm-hmm. I want to get inside you, and I want you to let us in, and that's the hard part. Tell your story. You take a look at this draft, and it's because they're immature still, right? Most of them. Some kids are really good writers.
But even then, the content's immature. They can write it well. That's not what it's about necessarily. The writing doesn't have to be great.
No, it doesn't have to be great, but it has to be captivating in some way.
Right.
You have to. College admissions officers have 5 minutes, essentially, to review your entire application. Right. Are they going to just take yours and say, snooze-a-rama over here? Snooze. I don't want to read this.
Read this already.
I've read this already. How are you going to separate yourself from everybody else? What is unique about you? And that's through the whole process. I think all of us on our team try to help these kids understand who they are, what's special and unique about them, and how they're going to take that and run with it.
So admit it. I'm giving you a third one. You didn't even ask for it.
I want more.
Admit it. How can a student write an essay that keeps the admissions counselor's attention?
You need a hook.
Okay. That's your first sentence that is like...
You got to grab your audience right away.
Right.
You have to say something that's really interesting.
It doesn't have to be controversial or anything like that.
Not controversial.
Be funny. If you're funny.
If you're funny, you got to be careful about trying to be funny.
Right.
Some people are naturally funny. Other people are not.
Right.
But be descriptive. Detail.
Mm-hmm.
Use a detail.
Put us there.
Put us there in the place.
Yeah.
Put us in your room.
What are some of our favorite hooks? I have one.
Okay.
And we worked with this student together. I'm 17 years old and I've never eaten a vegetable.
That was a great one.
And that came out of a conversation we had with the student. You and I were sitting next to each other. I'll never forget this. On Zoom, and Carolyn's digging. She's like, tell me something like really quirky about you. And this student who's love her, she goes, well, never eaten a vegetable. Like, what? We were like, what? And it ended up becoming a whole story about
her family,
traumatic situation they had in the family. It got to the deeper place, but it started us for, kind of, I feel like you have other ones too.
Oh, you had the one about when I walk into the room.
Oh, this is another one we worked on together, which was my hair arrives in a room before I do.
Right, exactly.
And do you remember what her whole thing was?
Because her hair was so different and everybody else in her family had this kind of manageable, lovely, straight hair that you could do all kinds of things with. Right. And she had this wild hair that was
this mane. She couldn't go to the same hair place. She could but then it was about the fact that she was the person in the family that was the artist.
Right.
And everyone else was, like her dad was in finance. Right. Like her sisters were like, one was like an engineer. Like they were all
very buttoned up people.
Yeah.
And she was not.
She was the one who was like learning tap routines upstairs, driving everyone crazy and belting out songs. And she ended up going to a musical theater program. Shocking. I gotta say, there's nothing more fascinating than interviewing your parent.
Admit it.
Yeah. Oh, she's giving me one.
How did we screw up?
How did you screw up?
You will not hurt my feelings. What did we do wrong?
No, I think your trash was a treasure.
Oh, that was very diplomatic.
In the sense that no. I mean, really, like, I don't think you screwed up.
Are you sure?
Positive. Oh, actually, no. I can say one thing.
Okay.
How did you screw up? I would say I was involved in too much stuff as a kid. I did too many things. And that was like you were always worried about keeping me busy, which, by the way, I get because I know me, and me not busy is not good.
Well, also you're an only child.
Yeah, I was an only child, so I needed, but I think that some downtime would have been nice.
Okay.
Now we're going to go to therapy after this podcast. Yes. It's been great. Okay, we'll talk more about this offline, but I love you.
Admit it.
But this actually is good because I think when I got to UCLA, I realized I couldn't do all the things I had been doing in high school.
Right.
And I was uncomfortable getting rid of things because I felt like that made me lesser or not as good. And being okay quitting things there's that dance you do as a parent, like you don't want your kid to be a quitter, but it's also good to go like, this doesn't serve me anymore. I don't need this anymore. I can move on from this.
Right.
That I didn't get good at until much later in life.
Right.
And I think there are some kids, especially the Gen Zers.
And what generation is that now? I've forgotten.
Well,
I've lost track.
Whatever. The kids who are like in their 20s now really know how to quit. They're like, this doesn't serve me. This is an emotion. This is a trigger for me. I feel emotionally unsafe in this job. Okay, so there's like that thing.
I'm not coming to work today.
Yeah. So I have a very high tolerance for uncomfortable situations. Like I can go pretty far in a job or I've now learned at 46 years old how to say no to people. I'm just learning that. Mm-hmm. But that's also because I'm an extremely hard worker. Mm-hmm. And I never want anyone to think that I didn't try my hardest.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But that's how I was.
That's you. Born. You were born that way. Baby, I was born this way.
So true. And we're gonna leave it at Lady Gaga. We're gonna leave it at Lady Gaga.
Leave it at Lady Gaga.
I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you so much for being on Admit It with Alexis White. And stay tuned for our next episode. Stay tuned. And if you are interested in sharing any comments, questions, topics you want us to cover, please email admititwithalexis@gmail.com and we will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to Admit It with Alexis White. If you're working on your college applications and want guidance every step of the way, visit alexiscollegeexpert.com to find resources and support tailored for you. For even more tips, stories, and college insights, make sure to follow me on TikTok and Instagram @collegeexpert. Until next time, good luck, and remember, you don't have to do this alone.